Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, our number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, medic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Shout out to my legendary co-host and brother for holding it down these last couple of days. Was going through some personal stuff, and what I gotta say about that is cherish the ones you love. Sometimes you're not gonna spend. That's what I gotta say. Cherish the ones you love. Appreciate them while they're still around. And yeah. But anyways, today's gonna be a great show. We're gonna cover the topic. Bitcoin is taking over the world. It really, really is. It was just announced. It actually we covered this initially when it was dropped on Forbes. The article is Oman's bold Bitcoin play, $1.1 billion investment on Bitcoin mining infrastructure. We covered this during the BitBlock Boom episode. That episode was a little interesting because we were backstage and we had to talk in like golf voices and stuff. But the reason that this is so big, and we're going to dive into the details of this, the significance of this, because it is very, very significant, is I'm going to make the case for you guys that Bitcoin's incentives stay winning. Bitcoin's incentives are quietly taking over the world. This didn't just happen in Oman. It was a couple months ago where we covered it for you guys. Also, an article from Forbes. The headline is the Kingdom of Bhutan has been quietly mining Bitcoin for years, right? So you have, and this is the case that we were making. We made this when this initial news came out of Bhutan. We were trying to tell you guys, like, look, this will most likely happen in other countries. Boom. It just happened in another country. And why is that? Why Bitcoin, right? Well, because Bitcoin monetizes it. It gives stranded energy value, right? Nothing in the world does that. Bitcoin does that. So countries that perhaps they didn't care about Bitcoin. In Oman, it's just it's a heavily Muslim country. You can even say it wasn't appropriate for them to use a currency like Bitcoin. Well, they changed their minds on that, right? And this is a testament to show Bitcoin's incentives and how you can't resist them. And also, there's this post by Jimmy Song. I'm gonna see if I could pull it up. But he was basically covering the news coming out of BlackRock. And a lot of people were a little bit worried that BlackRock was going to kind of infect Bitcoin and all that. And I never forget this quote from Max Kaiser. And the quote was basically like, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And I really think that's true. Right. And I think it was originally sourced in the Satoshi white paper, or maybe it was a Satoshi white paper, but it went something like this, right? You're more incentivized to play by Bitcoin's rules than you are to try to cheat it, right? So when you see these countries getting excited, when you see these countries wanting to partake, wanting to benefit from, number go up technology and these crazy incentives, the question that I have, the statement that I have for you guys, it's not governments. It's not governments that are going to try to fix Bitcoin or try to co-opt Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin that is going to co-opt governments. And that is because it is a system of aligned incentives. And it is a system that rewards you more by playing by the rules than by trying to cheat the system. And I think that this is a phenomenon that's going to be very strange to people because you're used to a lot of these, huge quintillionaire institutions or these huge countries that have these massive governments, these massive bureaucracies doing bad by their people. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily because these are evil people and they're twirling their mustaches and they're scheming and they're saying like, ha ha ha, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do like these bad things, and we're gonna screw these people. We're gonna enslave people. What I think you're seeing is the result of a broken architecture, of the broken architecture that is fiat, the misalignment of incentives that is fiat. So when we say fix the money, fix the world, I do not think that's an overstatement. I really believe that, because I think that if you fix the base layer, if you fix the incentive structure of the world where everyone can win, you start incentivizing good behavior. And I think you've seen this in El Salvador. I do not think it's a coincidence. I'm sticking by my word, and I know I got a lot of flack on this, but I've talked to Jimmy Song about this. I talked to Max Kaiser about this when we were at BitBlock Boom, and I'm sticking by it. I do not think it's a coincidence that in the first country that made Bitcoin legal tender, the elected official is actually doing the job of which he was elected to do. And my case, my theory for that is because you have a society where the incentives are now aligned. You have a society where the base layer is now based on truth. It's not based on lies like it is in fiat. And I think that all the evils, a lot of people will interpret it as evil, that you're seeing out of the World Economic Forum, or like I like to call it the Cantillionaire Conference, or a lot of these people call it the deep state. I call it the administrative state because it's right up in your grill these days. These actions they seem counterintuitive. Like, and we're gonna play you a video of Mitch McConnell in a second during the number segment, where they're sending billions of dollars to fund wars, but then there's homeless people on the streets in their countries. I don't think that's because these people are inherently evil. They're just incentivized to do that. Why? Because of fiat. And like, think about it. If you're a politician, you get elected, what are you incentivized to do? Are you incentivized to do good by your constituents? No, you're incentivized to get as close as humanly possible to the money spigot. If you fix the money, right? If you have a sound money society and politicians don't have this elite privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for, what is their only other mechanism of raising money or staying employed? They have to go directly to their constituents and say, listen, I have an idea. I'm going to raise taxes in order to pay for this. Right? But the way that they're able to do it now is they're able to kind of do this sneaky like roundabout, and they tax people via indirect taxation, silent taxation that people are not aware of. And I'm talking about the taxation of inflation, right? So Bitcoin truly does fix the world. But it's just fascinating to me, and it's super privileged to be able to talk about this every single day with you guys. That we're seeing countries that you would never think that they would adopt Bitcoin or invest heavily into mining infrastructure, invest into it. It's because Bitcoin's incentives are absolutely irresistible. And this is something that we've been theorizing for years now on Simply Bitcoin. And I think you're going to see more and more countries follow suit. We have Oman, we have the Kingdom of Bhutan, and all the other countries that I'm sure you're not aware of, right? We have massive miners in Russia. An article came out in China that it's estimated that between 15 to 20% of the hash rate is still located in China, even though it's literally illegal there, and you will literally be locked up in prison, but people can't resist Bitcoin's incentives. And this is why I believe Bitcoin will win at the end of the day. Because all they have left, the party of green, the party of fiat, central bank digital currency, slavery, they have coercion. On our side, we have incentives. Remember when the CCP banned Bitcoin mining within their borders, the hash rate dropped. I believe it was a big reason as to why we then hit 100K last cycle. The Bitcoin hash rate recovered within 9 months, and now it's making all-time highs. There was no central authority. There was no CEO of Bitcoin. There was no foundation telling those miners, hey, you need to relocate to the United States to keep the network up and running. No, it was profit incentives alone that drove those miners to relocate to a friendlier jurisdiction. Those are crazy incentives. It's almost as if like Bitcoin is this artificial intelligence that has co-opted human greed in order to ensure its survival? I don't know, but I've never seen that before. And you have, again, what we're going to talk about today with Oman or the Kingdom of Bhutan, specifically Oman. You have a heavily Islamic country that you could say it's haram. You could have made the case that Bitcoin was haram. You can't do it in their faith, in their religion. And now on this Forbes article, they're literally saying, no, actually Bitcoin is acceptable in the Islamic faith, right? Like, it's absolutely crazy. This is Bitcoin's incentives, and this is literally why we will win this thing. Anyways, no more delay. I went on a bit of a long monologue, and I apologize.
Well, you know when Nico monologue goes long, that it's going to be a lit show. That's when Nico is very, very excited about the topic. So, good to have you back, bro. It's good to be back. And then, hold on, before we go on, Nico, I love you, bro. I know you always get mad at me because I don't tell you I love you enough. Love you, bro. Good to have you back. Good to be back. And yeah, this is something that we've been covering here on the show for a minute. We've been talking about this in Twitter Spaces for a while, that people are going to be blindsided by the amount of interest that's going to come from the Middle East in regards to Bitcoin. They have so much energy out there that it's a match made in heaven, to say the least. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more on today's Spaces. I see my boy Mike Hobart in there already, and we'll probably double down on that idea. But yes, culture, Nico, on the culture today. Again, sometimes we're in sync without being in sync, and pun. And today's culture, I kind of want to maybe have a little discussion on the idea of, are we early? I have some good tweets here. I have some blueprints, some outlines of becoming a Bitcoiner, of what's going on in the world and everything we've been covering. I want to ask you guys, are we early? Are we not? Maybe I'll drop it in the poll while Nico gets the show started. But man, good to have you back.
Good to be back, man. And also shout out, thanks for holding it down. And Opti was in the driver's seat, in the host for a record live stream in Simply Bitcoin's history. 430 live people, 430 people watching live on YouTube. You know, if you combined everything, I think it was more than 600 to 700 people watching live. That is incredibly humbling. Thank you guys. And Opti was at the helm.
Hey, bro, it was a good title and the prize pump. That's all it was.
I might have helped with the subject matter a little bit. Might have a little bit, but still, Opti was
the genius. There's still the genius behind the madness.
Opti was still, the helm at the ship, and he was still the host, and that's freaking awesome. That's incredible. So shout out to Opti. 200 likes within the first hour, also a record. Speaking of that, guys, if you're enjoying the show, smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour. It tells the YouTube algo to push the orange signal. So anyway, it's going to be a great show. Happy to be back. No more delay, guys. Let's jump straight into it.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, at the time of recording, before I get to that, make sure to scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to the Stamp Seed website. You can use promo code SIMPLY, you get 15% off anything on their website. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Store it on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Get yourself a Stamp Seed seed phrase storage kit today. Scan the QR code on your screen. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 26,565 sats per dollar, 3,765 block height, 805,609 blocks to halving, 34,391 halving estimate. April 21st, 2024, total Lightning Network capacity 4,660 Bitcoin, capacity value 123 million US dollars, realized monetary inflation 1.75%, market capitalization $517 billion, Bitcoin versus gold market cap 4%. And that number will continue to go up, and the realized monetary inflation will continue to go down forever and ever. And that will continue to embarrass fiat currencies. Anyways, I want to talk about this. But before I talk about this, I just want to emphasize this. We all get old. You know, it's just the natural cycles of life. And I'm not making fun of, you know, his ability to, you know, because he froze and he wasn't able to come up with sentences and stuff like that. You know, it all happens. It happens, you know, it's sad. But the question that I have for you guys is, should these be the people that we really want in charge? Because if you don't opt into Bitcoin, you're dealing with political money. And this is the head of the Senate Republicans. He has this is Mitch McConnell. He has a tremendous amount of influence. In fact, before I play you guys the video, you know, he's a big defender of sending the aid to Ukraine. So sending $28 billion was just the last one to fund a war thousands of miles away that could potentially lead to nuclear armed conflict. And these are the people telling us what to do. Like I tweeted this out this morning when I saw this video, and we played you a video last week of Senator Lindsey Graham, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and there was another senator literally shaking hands with President Zelensky, patting him in the back, like as if they're boys. And then Lawrence Lepard, I tweeted it, and then Lawrence Lepard quote tweeted it, and he said something super funny. He said, "We're all getting fucking rich here," you know. And of course, like, where's that money going to Ukraine? Like, why is it that these types of politicians that are supposedly on government salary are worth tens of millions of dollars? Like, where's that coming from? Like, it's obvious. So this is what it is. This is what it's all about. This is the separation of money and state. And remember that printing money, it's not free of cost. Like every time they print money, it's a wealth redistribution mechanism from the lower and middle classes that do not have the means to save in assets back to the very wealthy that do have the means to save in assets. But again, it's not their fault. But more specifically, back to the government. It allows the government to spend money that they don't have at the cost of everyone who is holding US dollars. This isn't just people in the US, but this is people, this is countries all over the world, which is why countries want to get off, you know, the dollar as the global reserve currency. But this has effects. This hurts the middle class. Look, we've pulled up the website for you guys. What the F happened in 1971? And look, work productivity has increased by 246%, but compensation has remained relatively stagnant. That is absolutely crazy. And why is that? Like, why is that? The misaligned incentives of the fiat system. Fix the money, you fix the world. Anyways, I'm going to play you guys this video. Like I said, it's really sad, and I'm not trying to make fun of, you know, his age or his cognitive decline. It's totally normal. The guy's 81 years old. But the question that I have for you guys is, like, if you are not saving in Bitcoin, if you're not using Bitcoin as money, this is who you're dealing with. This is political money. And I think that this is a personification. Like, this is a metaphor to the current system. This represents the current system. And do we really want to live in a world, like I said, that our leaders can't come up with full sentences? And mind you, this isn't just Mitch McConnell. This is Joe Biden as well. And again, look, it's bipartisan. It's Republican and Democrat, right? Like, these are the people in charge. They're getting stinking rich while the rest of us get poor. And it's a total injustice. Anyways, let's play the clip.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
Okay.
So you know, and again, like, it's metaphoric in a way. Like, it's like, what are your thoughts about running for re-election? And the dude can't even answer the question in the first place. So who's really making the decisions? Who's really making the decisions, right? Because apparently that's the head of the Republican Party, right? Like, so who's really making the decisions? That's a really big question, right? If you don't opt into Bitcoin, or better said, you don't opt out into Bitcoin, this is the political money that you have to deal with. Like, this is it right there. This is clown world. This is what it is. This is the world under a fiat standard, a system of injustice. And again, I don't think that these people are particularly evil. Maybe Klaus Schwab, you can make an exception. You could say, okay, that dude's evil. Maybe, okay? But I think that the majority of people, whether it's bankers or these people, they're just trying to pay their mortgages like the rest of us. Do you really blame them for trying to do the best for their family? The thing is that, again, we live in a system that incentivizes theft. Max and Stacy were talking about this during BitBlock Boom when we had them at the news desk. We live in a system that incentivizes theft. Like, it's normalized theft. Like, it shouldn't be so. It should not be surprising to anybody. So yeah, man, this is crazy. And it's sad at the same time. Like, this is really, really sad, man. This happens. Like, people get, when you get old, when you're 81 years old, do you really think you should have that much power? Do you think you should have that much influence? It's my question. Like, I think it's common sense. And then to kind of tie it back into Bitcoin, because we are a Bitcoin show after all. Like, do you enjoy using the dollar? Like, these are the people in charge. You know, it's insane. And remember, they benefit from the money printing. They benefit from the money printing. You don't, but they do, right? So it's just crazy, man. I don't know what else I have to say about that. It's kind of sad, Opti. Like, it's sad seeing him struggle. But again, like I said, it's kind of a metaphor. Like, in the question where they asked him, are you planning to run for re-election? He literally freezes and can't even answer the question. And these are the people in charge. This is political money. Like, this, when you opt into using the US dollar, that's what you're opting into. It's just crazy, man. Very, very sad. It's very sad. Not making fun of him, and that happens to everyone. We all age, right? But at the same time, dude, like, something's broken, bro. You can't say it. You can't look at that and be like, yeah, that's okay. You know, that's fine. And who's in charge? Like, who the F is in charge? That guy isn't making decisions. So who's making decisions? Like, I don't know, man. Some really interesting shit's happening lately, but it definitely gives us time. That gives us a lot of stuff to talk about. And next year's the election, and holy shit, is that going to give us a lot to talk about too. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, so of course, like, having a little humanity, this is extremely sad. I know we don't like politicians, and we don't like what politicians do and all that stuff, but it is obviously extremely sad to see someone old and senile and then be paraded in front of the cameras and stuff, and him just having these mental breakdowns. Like, of course, first and foremost, it's extremely sad, and we've seen this happen by I don't even know how many examples of politicians this year, that it's just incredible that this is where we are. And this is the fiat system we live in. Like, we are being ruled by the geriatric class. Like, they are so out of touch. And again, not to be like an ageist here, but you can tell not only are their cognitive abilities for a lot of these people that have been in power, for career politicians, you can tell just how out of touch they are with the technological nature of where we are in the world. And they really are stuck in an old paradigm. And that's like not even adding on to the fact that it seems like a lot of them are senile. And again, this is part of the fiat problem, where if you get close to the money printer, if you get into these seats, you're basically a career politician. And what's that mean? You know, you're basically bought and paid for by the highest bidder. And it really does make you ask and wonder the question, and not to be tinfoil hat guy here on the show, but it really makes you, or begs the question, like, who is actually in control? Because these people are obviously not running the ship. Like, what is going on? And I know we talk about the bureaucratic state on the show a lot, and that there is some kind of, I don't know if we want to say shadow government, but there's someone that's actually pulling the string, because you can tell.
I don't think it's a shadow government, dude. It's
like very upfront at this point.
A lot of people say deep state this, deep state that. Like, I don't think it's a deep state. Like, it's an administrative state, meaning it's an unelected bureaucracy that stays in power, whoever gets elected, right? And what is the source of funding of that bureaucracy? The fiat money printer. The US government spends $1 trillion every single year, more than it collects as in tax revenue, even though the government collects more tax revenue year after year, right? So when they have this thing, it's like we don't have a tax collecting problem. We have a spending problem. But do you blame them if they have a credit card with absolutely no limits? They could just keep spending. Like, do you really blame them for doing so? What is 28 billion for them? There's no cost of production. It's nothing. They're just like, the Federal Reserve could just print it. It's fine. And I already hear the devil, like the opposite discussion. It's like, well, the Federal Reserve is separate from the state. It's an independent. No, it's not. Every single time they want to spend money, the Federal Reserve placates them and gives them the money, right? So it's just a bunch of bullshit, bro. That's what I gotta say. But anyways, on a good note, this is what Bitcoin's for, though. Anyway,
yeah. Before we go on, this whole discussion kind of reminded me of this meme I saw, and it was something on the lines of like the fiat world cannot compete on the free market. And if we kind of correlate that idea with Mitch here and his seemingly senile collapses, mental breaks, it's like, who would you rather have actually being in control? If politicians were actually there to hold their oath, you'd want someone that is cognitively there, that is a leader, that knows what they're doing, that isn't detached from reality. And as you can tell, like the fiat world, the Cantillon insider effects, the career politicians, like they don't have to actually compete on the free market. As long as they have their buddies in charge that are paying and lobbying for them, they'll stay in there until they're literally cadavers. Like, what's that one girl, like, again, not to be an ageist, but the other lady, like Feinstein or something, literally
she's like 91, bro.
Literally looks like a cadaver. It's insane.
But again, like, we're not trying to be ageist and we're not trying to be mean.
Yeah,
like,
it sounds cool.
This is gonna happen to each and every single one of us. We're all mortal. But the question that we're posing is, first of all, these people are clearly not in charge, right? Like they can't even put sentences together. Number one. Number two, like, should they be in charge in the first place? Like that's a big question, right? So like, and I know a lot of people are like, I was seeing a lot of people that were tweeting that video and they were saying term limits, term this. Look, that's a Band-Aid. That's a Band-Aid. You're not fixing the root cause. The root cause is broken money. You fix broken money, you fix these problems. Even if this politician was still in office somehow, right, at 81 or 82 years old, they wouldn't be able to do the damage that they do now, because the only way they'd be able to raise money on a sound money standard is through direct taxation. So they'd actually have to look to their constituents and say, listen, I want to send $28 billion to Ukraine. I'm going to raise your taxes. I guarantee you, right? Everyone's like, oh, support Ukraine. I guarantee you, when you say that argument, people are going to be like, I don't think that's a very good idea, right? But as long as they can print it, right, and people are not aware of it, they're not aware of the fact that when they print money, it's taxation, this will continue to happen. And this is like literally the cause of clown world. Like the stuff that you see around you, the degradation of society is literally caused by this crazy power of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. Bitcoin fixes this, but it falls onto us, right, as individuals to really, really push this forward and to convince people around you. It's not left versus right. It's not red versus blue. It's the party of orange, the party of freedom, peace, Bitcoin, prosperity, versus the party of green, the party of nihilism, poverty, slavery, central bank digital currencies, and fiat. Anyways, that's what I got to say about that. I know I went a little bit over. It is my first show back. Guys, let's jump straight into news. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
All right, guys, I want to give a shout out to Bitcoin Evangelism. It is a book written by Brian DeMint of the Orange Palap. The great Tatum Turnip once said Bitcoin evangelism is like if the Bitcoin standard and Bitcoin for dummies had a baby. Have you ever struggled to answer your skeptical no-coiners friends' objections? Or maybe you answered it perfectly, but just didn't understand what you said. Bitcoin evangelism will equip you with an arsenal of simple illustrations to help articulate the tenets of Bitcoin to anyone. Boomer neighbor? Check. Aunt Edna, who is worried about Bitcoin being the currency of the Antichrist? Check. Annoying dude from work that rubs it in your face anytime the price of Bitcoin is down? Check. What about your crypto friends? Bitcoin Evangelism is the most comprehensive Bitcoin-only book for the entire altcoin casino that will reverse the effects of the crypto brown pill and help more people see a bright orange future. Bitcoin Evangelism is an Amazon bestseller. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your screen to grab a copy today. Get it. Bitcoin Evangelism, planting the seed for a decentralized revolution. Absolutely love that name. Anyways, guys, let's move on to the news for today. We got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about Oman, man. Oman's coming in hot. And it's always these countries that you would never expect. So let's actually start with that article first before I get to the bit from Jimmy Song. That I was talking about during the opening monologue. So there's an article from Forbes. It says Oman's bold Bitcoin play, $1.1 billion investment on Bitcoin mining infrastructure. It goes on to say Sheikh Mansour bin Talib bin Ali Allah Hani, I'm sorry, but that's really hard to pronounce, chairman of Oman's Authority for Public Services Regulations, publicly commented in a press release about his nation's government support of privately owned Bitcoin mining facilities, which are set to attract a total investment of over 1.1 billion US dollars. Quote, this initiative aligns with our goal to diversify our economy, integrating modern technologies while upholding our commitment to ethical and sustainable practices. Given Oman's conservative nature and its emphasis on Islamic law, introducing a concept as disruptive as Bitcoin mining required significant deliberation. But after rigorous regulatory discussions that started back in 2019, the government of Oman eventually found Bitcoin to be in line with Islamic law, accepting the modern innovation into Oman's deep-rooted traditions. That's right. Bitcoin's incentives, they're so fucking powerful that it's like, yes, Opti, is it when something's bad, is it haram or is it the other way around?
Yeah. Bitcoin is halal. Bitcoin is halal.
Bitcoin is halal, right? Bitcoin's incentives, it is so crazy how much this moves things. Right. Again, if you look at it like just in Oman, it could be like, it could be an offshoot, but this is happening worldwide, right? Whether it's in China where they banned Bitcoin mining, whether it's in Texas, right? Wherever it is, like you look at Bitcoin, you're like, you know what? I'm deeply Islamic. I'm deeply Muslim, but it's halal. This is work. This works, right? This is incentives. You're watching it, and this is why we're gonna win. By the way. It goes on to say, our project transcends the boundaries of traditional mining data centers by synergizing purpose-built hardware, hyperscale abilities, and smart energy consumption. We're building a robust framework that is both innovative and sustainable in line with Oman's 2040 vision. Bitcoin as a cornerstone of Oman's economic future. Stepping back, the Sultanate of Oman, a country known for its diverse terrain of desert, mountain ranges, and long coastlines, holds a strategic position on the southeast tip of the Arabian Peninsula. It's a small country of 4.5 million with a rich history of a glorious past. It goes on to talk about Oman's past. And then it goes on to say, Oman has the lowest GDP among the oil-rich Gulf Cooperation Council countries. Although the unemployment rate is only 3.7%, the employment opportunities compared to the neighboring UAE are not as abundant or prestigious. It goes on to say, technology projects like this one aim to change that. Oman does have oil reserves constituting about 70% of its revenue and nearly 30% of its GDP. However, with global shifts towards a digital economy and the decline of oil's dominance, Oman must set its sails on a journey away from oil. And it's absolutely crazy that they're looking for Bitcoin to do just that. In this context, Oman's forward-thinking vision has paved the way for Exahertz, a homegrown startup, to take center stage in the digital evolution. The ambitious establishment of a pilot Bitcoin mining site of 11 megawatts capacity, coupled with ambitious plans to expand to 800 megawatts, backstaged by a staggering budget of 1.1 billion, signifies more than just a technological advancement. It lays the groundwork for the technology infrastructure of the future. This has been a long time coming. Exahertz received its license from local regulators in September 2022 and delivered an operational pilot within 22 days. All right. So again, you would say, Nico, this is just an offshoot. Oman's feeling like Michael Saylor. They want to experiment. They want to try something different. But again, this isn't just happening in Oman. This happened in the Kingdom of Bhutan as well, right? This article came out April 30th, 2023. We covered it when it came out. The title of the article is "The Kingdom of Bhutan has been quietly mining Bitcoin for years." It goes on to say, beneath the Himalayas, rivers fed by ancient glaciers supply the tiny Kingdom of Bhutan with immense stores of hydroelectricity. The renewable resource has become an economic engine, accounting for 30% of the country's GDP and fueling the homes of nearly all of its 800,000 residents. But for the past few years, Bhutan's royal government has been quietly devising a new use for these reserves, powering its own Bitcoin mine. So you have two countries with totally different cultures, different religions, and they cannot resist Bitcoin's incentives. It's also happening in El Salvador, also happening in Texas. And also, Opti covered an article a couple days ago that BlackRock was a major shareholder in 4 of the 5 largest publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies. So what I think you're seeing is, like I said, Bitcoin's incentives. And here's this great tweet, phenomenal tweet by Louis D. Williams. And he quote tweeted for our audio listeners a picture of a Financial Times article, or like Opti likes to call it, a Fiat Times article, where it's a picture of Larry Fink, and the headline of that article says, BlackRock's support for climate and social resolutions falls sharply. And then Saifedean says it best. Expectations, BlackRock will subvert Bitcoin. Reality, Bitcoin will subvert BlackRock. It's going on to say, it's worth considering that the possibility that Bitcoin won't be attacked by the powers that be, because stacking sats has a higher long-run expected return than running an evil empire that owns everything and turns everyone into a debt slave. And by the way, this was originally cited in the white paper. It goes on to say, the incentive may help encourage nodes to stay honest. If a greedy attacker is able to assemble more CPU power than all the honest nodes, he would have to choose between using it to defraud people by stealing back his payments or using it to generate new coins. He ought to find it more profitable to play by the rules, such rules that favor him with more new coins than everyone else combined, than to undermine the system and the validity of his own wealth. So I think what you're seeing is the world is healing. And I think that Bitcoin is responsible for the world healing because it's providing a system of aligned incentives where you acting on your own greed, you following your own incentives, actually makes everyone else richer. It makes everyone else wealthier. It protects everyone else's stack. And that's in stark contrast with how the fiat system works, where there's a few winners and there's a whole lot of losers. And the winners are incentivized to keep stealing, keep lying, because that is better for their bottom line. In the Bitcoin world, you're actually incentivized to be an honest and truthful player because that is better for your bottom line. And what American Hodl said best, no one is better than their incentives. So anyways, dude, this is absolutely crazy. Bitcoin is taking over the world. Not surprising whatsoever. But the part that is like the cherry on top that I find absolutely hilarious in a way, that, you know, Bitcoin's halal, man. Bitcoin's halal, dude. It's halal now. It's acceptable in, you know, in the Muslim faith, apparently. But you know, and you're gonna see this everywhere around the world. It doesn't matter what your culture is. Doesn't matter what your religion is. You're gonna see this phenomenon happen over and over and over and over and over again, because it helps everyone equally. That's the best fucking part, right? So when they say stuff about fiat and they use those talking points like fiat is this, remind them Bitcoin is the most equal, equitable money the world has ever seen. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your position of power is. If you want more Bitcoin, you got to buy it, you got to mine it, you got to earn it like everyone else. You got to get in line. You don't have a privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. So, dude, this is freaking awesome. This is so cool. But at the same time, I'm not surprised. Anyways, Opti, what's your take?
Well, first and foremost, a little less serious. I think we just found the best new Bitcoin meme. Bitcoin is halal. So let's double down and propagate the memes. No, I'm kind of joking, low-key joking, but I don't want to be insensitive. So remember how we started this year, guys. Do you remember where we were at the beginning of the year? We had the Change the Code FUD campaign. We had the Pierre Rochard meme, you know, showing that Bitcoin doesn't have CO2 pollutions. And now we're not even at the end of the year, and so much signal and information has came out that Bitcoin is ESG friendly. Whether you know, flip the BlackRock news on its head and be like, okay, Larry Fink endorses Bitcoin, that means Bitcoin is ESG friendly. Whether we have more and more countries in the world, oil-rich countries and energy resource-rich countries starting to embrace Bitcoin mining because they understand how it will improve not only their balance sheet, not only their profits, but obviously the use of energy moving forward. And here we are, guys. Like, remember the beginning of the year, we were getting FUD campaigns, and now I think it's becoming absolutely clear that every country in the world will need a Bitcoin mining strategy. And my boy Mike Hobart's been talking about it till he's blue in the face on Spaces about the killer app for Bitcoin is the marriage between Bitcoin miners and the energy sector. And now we're starting to see this play out in real time. And, you know, I don't know if you guys know your geography much. And I like, as an American public school student myself, I don't either. But Oman is neighbors to Saudi Arabia and Dubai. Like, I don't know if that's ringing alarm bells in your head, but once the Middle East finally wakes up to the fact that they should all be mining Bitcoin and, you know, hooking up whatever excess energy they have to Bitcoin, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And remember, we're still on the petrodollar system, and Saudi Arabia is still, even though they are kind of posturing towards leaving the dollar, we're still on the petrodollar. And I'm just excited, and I'm counting down the times to when, not if, but when we get the petrosat. And that's really when things start getting absolutely bananas in the world. And, you know, the Bitcoin price will go nuclear, and people wake up to the idea that they need Bitcoin miners in the world. If you are an energy company, you need Bitcoin miners. And we've had this conversation before on the show. Will Bitcoin miners become the new energy producers, or will it simply be a hop, skip, and a jump for the energy producers to become Bitcoin miners? They already have the infrastructure, they already have the energy, and all they need to do is plug in Bitcoin miners. It's going to be absolutely crazy. The game theory that will play out in regards to the Bitcoin mining ecosystem is going to be one of the most magnificent things to be saying. And we've been saying this on the show for a long time. So the signal is spreading, and people are waking up to the idea that Bitcoin mining is ESG friendly. And then, of course, you know, Bitcoin is halal. So I'm excited to see this because, you know, just to break it down for you, from what I know as well, Muslims are not allowed to participate in usury. And so, you know, Bitcoin, the network, the currency is not inflationary, so it doesn't steal from you guys. So of course they're going to wake up to the idea that Bitcoin is the best form of money, Bitcoin is halal, and more countries in the world are going to wake up to the idea that they need to hold money. And Elaine said something very good in the chat. She said something like, if there is people out there that believe in truth and they believe in honesty and freedom, then they will obviously inevitably end up on the Bitcoin standard. As we say all the time, as Greg Foss always says, all roads lead to Bitcoin. And it's just awesome to see more and more individuals and countries waking up to the idea that, hey, you might want to get some Bitcoin just in case it catches on. You might want to plug in some miners, because not only are you going to be profit driven, like the incentive sentence from the white paper, you are better off to play along with the game than to try to fight it. Hey, we're all in here for the money, but we understand that once you fix the money, you fix the world. And I think more and more people are waking up to this, the enlightened self-interest aspect of Bitcoin, that like, hey, I am better off running Bitcoin. I'm better off saving Bitcoin. I'm better off mining Bitcoin than I am to destroy the planet. And again, guys, like Bitcoin is environmentally friendly because Bitcoin miners are looking for the best use of energy instead of like what we've been talking about in regards to the political sphere, that as long as you're close to the money printer, then the free market has no effect on you. And now we're getting back to energy being affected by the free market, which is Bitcoin miners, which is you guys stacking sats. So hey man, the free market fixes most things, if not all things, and here we are. And moving, we have 4 months left in the year, or rather 3 months left in the year. I think this next year is going to be absolutely beautiful to see more and more Bitcoin miners spread around the world, incentivize energy production, plug in miners into, energy sources that potentially are bad for the environment. And if you're an environmentalist, and we have multiple examples of this, if you're an environmentalist, then you're a Bitcoiner. Like it's not it's not, I'm getting trolled in the chat. It's not contentious anymore. The chat's going hard today. All right. Anyways, but actually, before we go on, Nico, remember we've been trolling for a minute on the show that Bitcoin will be the reason to bring down BlackRock. Well, now, hey, Saifedean is saying it as well. So we're ahead of the curve here, bro. All right. Nico, if you want to jump in before we move into the culture. Man, I'm getting roasted in the chat. All right.
What's going on? Should we start posting?
Yeah, it goes, usury is haram, but goosery is How do you say it? Someone spell it out for me. Anyways.
Oh man. All right, guys. We've had quite a lot of fun. Anyways, before we move on, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Bitcoin 2024. They're going to be throwing the largest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee this year. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be July 25th through the 27th, the year of the halving. You definitely don't want to miss it. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off your tickets. A GA ticket is $349, an industry pass is $849, a whale pass, it's $4,749. You definitely don't want to miss the biggest Bitcoin celebration of the year. Bitcoin 2024. Use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a 10% discount on your tickets. Anyways, guys, we got a lot to talk about during the culture. Let's get to it. Let's do it.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, I also want to tell you about the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. It's coming up. It's going to be in October. It's going to be in Los Angeles, California, October 5th through the 6th. It's almost a month away. You definitely don't want to miss this Bitcoin celebration, the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. Current speakers include Jimmy Songlin, Alden, Greg Foss, Alex Gladstein, Corey Clipson, Preston Pish, Stacy Herbert, Max Kaiser, Stefan Livera, and many, many more. You guys, you don't want to miss this. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get 21% off your tickets to the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. Anyways, Opti, what are we talking about today, bro?
All right, guys. So I did drop it in the chat for you guys. There's a poll, and it's the idea of, are we early? And I was inspired by a tweet by my boy CJ on Twitter. But then, of course, I flushed it out for you guys. So first and foremost, let's start with the context of what we usually say. And I kind of agree with this, and I'll give you my take at the end as well, because it will kind of be a little, I don't know if it'll be contrarian what CJ tweeted, but I think it will definitely I don't know, paint a picture of where we are right now in Bitcoin adoption. So first and foremost, of course, guys, for the audio listeners, we have CK Snarks here, and he goes, this chart is incorrect. We are less than 0.1% adoption. We are firmly in the beginning of the innovator stage. And what he's talking about is the classic bell curve meme of Bitcoin adoption. He goes, you're not late. There's a 2.5% innovators, a 13.5% early adopters. There's a 34% of the early majority, the 34% of the late majority as we go down the other side of the bell curve, and the 16% of laggards. And usually the idea right now is like we're still in the early adopter phase. And what CK is saying that we're still in less than the 0.1% adoption. And usually what he means is not only because of the capital, the amount of capital that's allocated into Bitcoin, but the amount of Bitcoiners in the world. I forget what the number is, but we've tried to speculate not only on the channel, but on Twitter for a long time of how many real hardened Bitcoiners there are in the world, people that are on the Bitcoin standard. And I think we're in, maybe like the traditional thought is maybe the tens of millions. And that might even be high. It might be a little low. Either way, the idea is, and I say this all the time, if you go out into your everyday life, your normie life, and you talk to someone, you ask them, are you a Bitcoiner? I'm sure few and far in between you will find even someone else that holds shitcoins. Like there's very few people out there that are Bitcoiners. And this is probably why we all say you're still early. And not only that, but of course, like where we're at, $26,000 Bitcoin, it's still stupid cheap. And I always say it constantly on the show that the Bitcoin price is a real-time metrics of people understanding of Bitcoin. And obviously at a $26,000 Bitcoin, it's so stupidly undervalued, which means that no one knows what the hell they're holding, which means that we are early. And so usually I think the idea is we are early in regards to price movements and where we're going and the amount of people that are holding Bitcoin. But I really like this tweet from CJ Constantinos. Sorry for butchering your name, bro. He came on the pod a while ago. He absolutely blew it up and just blew our minds. And I was thinking this morning, maybe I'll get you back on, CJ. Anyways, I really like this take right here because it is a little contrarian. But I think it also kind of puts a fire under your ass so you don't get complacent out there, because I know that a lot of times when you say like, oh, we're so early, you might get complacent in your mind. You're like, yeah, I have time to stack. I have time to get my position, and, I'm going to buy this thing instead of that, et cetera, et cetera. You change your behaviors. But I think this idea of like, you're not early, I think it's a good way to ensure that you stay the foot on the gas, guys. Anyways, let's get into this tweet here by CJ. He goes, there is one sentiment in the Bitcoin community that I completely disagree with. He goes, you're so early. And the meme, you're so early. Anyways, he goes, I got news for you. No, you are not early. One, the most sophisticated institutions in the world are taking large stakes in publicly traded Bitcoin companies. They are doing it to get levered exposure to BTC price before the spot ETFs get approved. Two, USA government has gone full banana republic with currency printing. They have already passed the helicopter money stage where they print trillions for themselves and give the people crumbs. Three, BRICS will include United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia with a focus on settling trade in local currencies. Global demand for the dollars, the U.S. treasuries will continue to decline while the supply continues to increase. Not a sustainable combo. 9 years ago, when I started in Bitcoin, these were the types of events that the real OGs were talking about. And I think that's kind of the point. CJ's been here for 9 years. And so for you newer guys, which are still like looking at the price and they're like, oh, we're still so early, 26K is so undervalued. I think it's important to remember that these conversations have been had for over a decade, and we're seeing this happen in real time. So, they said one day there'd be things like institutional investments, out of control currency printing, loss of global demand for the dollars, and that would all take place, and that these things would be the signs of the end of the dollar's currency life cycle. Today, all of these things are happening, yet mainstream are acting like DeFi degens chasing 5% Ponzi yield on a shitcoin with unlimited supply. At this point, we are not early. This is the end game. Get your financials in order now, or you will go down with the ship. And of course, guys, using historical examples, we know that the fall of Rome was in part associated with the debasement of the currency, and that took thousands of years for it to finally crumble. Well, do we know how long the dollar is going to take before it crumbles? Will they have another can that they can kick down the road? Probably. But the point of this is, yes, on a price frame you may still be early, because I think 26K is stupid cheap. Yes, maybe on the amount of individuals that are holding Bitcoin, we may still be in the early adoption stage. And on that side, maybe we are early. But on a more contrarian take, if you look at what's happening in the world, we are in the end stage of this Bitcoin adoption. Do we know how long this is going to take? I don't know. I keep saying that it's going to take us our whole lives, but it is becoming very clear that now is the most important time to be stacking Bitcoin. And here we are laying it down. And I have some cycles of being a Bitcoiner, but I want to start with the Bitcoin institutional adoption cycle. And that's Simon Dixon quote tweeting Beautyon. And Beautyon has a tweet here, and he's got a picture of Larry Fink for the audio listeners. And he goes, 2017, Bitcoin is an index of money laundering. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. 2023, BlackRock files for spot Bitcoin ETF. 2020X, Bitcoin is ubiquitous and used as money globally. So, of course, we are just at the stage where Larry Fink, where the biggest institutions in the world, the biggest asset managers in the world, are starting to vie for a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're starting to gain exposure in Bitcoin mining companies. They're figuring out ways to get their tentacles in the Bitcoin space because, hey, it's more profitable for them to just play along with the rules. It might be better off for them to just stack Bitcoin than it is for them to fork Bitcoin. And it really made me think of this tweet that BTC Therapist put out on Twitter. You know, he's not just a memer. He actually has some sauce and some signal and some depth behind his tweets. And he goes, the life cycle of a Bitcoiner. 1, what is Bitcoin? 2, Bitcoin is too expensive. 3, crypto is cheap. 4, crypto is the future. 5, crypto is a scam. 6, what the F is Bitcoin? 7, what the F is money? 8, Bitcoin is freedom. And 9, Bitcoin is going up forever. So on an adoption cycle, on are we early phase, you know, looking out at the world, early timeline, where are we right now in global adoption of Bitcoin? I think we could still safely say we are early, but we are moving into a phase where the institutional capital is flowing into Bitcoin. And so no longer can we say that we're early. The institutions are here. And, you know, it's only a matter of time until that the institutional capital starts to flow into Bitcoin and the price starts to do what we all know it will do. And it really is only going to take a few very deep pockets to move the price. And so on one hand, yes, not very many people are holding Bitcoin. And that's why we do our show. That's why you guys go out there and have these conversations with people, because I want the average person to hold Bitcoin. I want the average person to help themselves. And we're at this point now where institutional adoption is here. We are in the end game of this. And so I don't want you to get complacent here and say, oh, we're early. I have time to stack. I have time to do this. No, like action, 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 speed, speed, speed. Like make sure you are making decisions now so that you can stack as much as possible so that you can be in a better position to profit off of this. And I know profit is a ugly word. It's a nasty word. It's been denigrated. It makes people feel bad. But hey, if you have the right understanding of the world, then you should be more profitable. You should live a good life. I think that is one of the telltale signs of living a good life, is understanding what is the true nature of reality. And here again, Bitcoin Therapist just absolutely killing it. If you hodl your Bitcoin for one day, you're speculating. If you hodl for 1 week, you're trading. If you hodl for 1 month, you're learning. If you hodl for a year, you're growing. If you hodl for 4 years, you're saving. And when you hodl for 10 years, you're a legend. So to you guys out there, continue to stack, but don't get complacent. Are we early? Yes, there's a lot of signs that are saying we are early in regards to the price movement, in regards to how many Bitcoiners are out there stacking. But we are in the end game and the institutions are here. No longer is it a meme. The institutions are coming. The institutions are coming. No, it's only a matter of time, whether it's the end of this year, the beginning of next year, in the very first quarter or second quarter, where that liquidity, that capital starts to get distributed into Bitcoin and number will go up. But you have an opportunity right now. Yes, you are early in many respects, but don't get complacent. I think everyone in the world, at least to some extent, have had their first touch in Bitcoin, and it's only a matter of time until they do their final jump into the Bitcoin space. And then we can finally say, hey, we were here before you, man. We were early. We are, I still believe, early adopters of the Bitcoin standard. But I don't know if we can say we're early because, hey, the big, deep pockets are here, guys. So I just wanted to keep that in mind. I know it's a little contrarian, and I know I'm even like debating and deliberating within myself whether we are early or not. But just double down on knowing that you have the correct view of the world and that Bitcoin is the way. And more people are waking up to this. And, you know, hey, the incentive structures of Bitcoin just align so well that you might want to get some just in case it catches on, guys. Anyways, before I move on, we did do a poll in here. And so 163 votes said, are we still early? 90% said yes, and 10% said no. So, hey, you know, are we listening to the poll? I think we're all kind of agreeing that on a price point, we are early. But on like a percentage of capital going into Bitcoin, we're probably not early. But hey, the price is still cheap. It's 26K. It's so undervalued. Whew. Anyways, Nico, I went long. I ranted. I hope there was some value there. Nico, what are your thoughts? Are we early? Are we in the middle? Are we still early adopter phase? Are we still in the innovators phase? What's your thoughts on this? I know you've been around for, I don't know, what, 7-8 years now. So what's your thoughts on are we early?
Are we early? I mean,
it's honestly a harder question than like
no, it's
we make it out to be.
It's a very difficult question. Are we early? I don't think we're early. I just don't think we're late. It kind of all depends, right? So like, it depends. We obviously think we're right about Bitcoin becoming the next global reserve currency, right? So, if it reaches the market cap of gold, that's like a 40x, right? 40, 50x. If it reaches, you know, like global adoption, that's like a 400x, right? Now, the reason that the price of Bitcoin isn't at, you know, at those prices is because that is you're speculating that it will do that. Now, look at where Bitcoin started from. And look at where it is today. If I would have told you the exact same things 10 years ago, I would have said the same thing. Like, look, you wouldn't have believed me. You would not have believed me. You would have told me you're crazy. There's countries are not going to be mining Bitcoin. BlackRock is not going to be launching a Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin wouldn't become legal tender, you know, in a country. A public company wouldn't use it as an alternative to holding fiat on their balance sheet. You would have laughed me out of the room. But that's exactly why Bitcoin was so cheap back then. Because if everyone knew that, if they had a fortune ball or whatever that thing is called, crystal ball, people, you know, the price of Bitcoin would be higher, right? So, you know, like I have my beliefs. I think I tried to make the case during the news segment about its incentives. I think we're going to win because of its incentives alone. Bhutan, Oman, Texas, El Salvador, you know, you have the president of Argentina, like talking about Bitcoin. Like, I mean, like it looks like it's heading in a certain direction. That's what I would say. 40x. If it reaches the market cap of gold, like that is an unconceivable, that's a life-changing amount of money for most people. And if we're right about it being the global reserve currency, that's a 400x. That's fucking insane. So do I think we're early as in like 2017 or 2013 early? No, I don't think we're early. But again, like, do I still think that this is, you know, an opportunity of a lifetime for most people? Absolutely. You have to keep in mind, like back in 2013, when Bitcoin was $10, $100, you were taking a lot more risk. Like this thing was not like, you think that this thing is like a sure thing now. Back then, like this was an experiment, or else everyone would have bought it, right? So like that's the in my eyes, I'm a Bitcoiner, and I 100% of my, you know, 100% of my career and my hopes and dreams are based on this technology, based on this money. So I'll tell you what I'm doing personally, doing. But you know, that's what it is, dude. Like, so I hope that answers your question. Like, it's a very fucking difficult question.
It's a simple question, but it's also like
it's a very difficult
hard.
question. But I'll sprinkle in like the hopium Luke Broyles stuff. Like, I'll definitely sprinkle.
Number goes up.
Like, as human beings, we have a hard time understanding exponentials. And when you have like equations like 21 million divided by infinity, like it's like you can't understand it. Like you're looking at that, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? So it's very difficult to wrap your hand around, to comprehend. But if you kind of start talking about that, I think that people, like CK says it all the time, like you're not bullish enough. And I think that most people are not bullish enough because they can't comprehend what this means. But I think it's going to take, I think it takes time, dude. Like, look, like most people that I've spoken to, like you need at least one full cycle to start feeling the benefits, right? So you need at least 4 years under your belt. If not, you got lucky and you timed it right. But most people get in with the price pump, right? So that means that they inevitably get wrecked. Like Michael Saylor, like Naim Bukele. I got kind of lucky because I got in 2016. I didn't get 2017, but I still got wrecked because I was buying the top at 2017. In fact, I was buying the last top too. So, but again, like you're there for a cycle. Your most of your average is significantly lower than, the current price, and you start to feel the benefits of it. And your mind starts to adjust to a Bitcoin standard. You start spending less, you start living below your means, and you start thinking about the future because you have the ability to think about the future. But holding isn't easy. If you're just getting into this, like my opinion, it takes 4 years. It takes 4 years to get comfortable relatively to where you started and to the people around you. And then it takes about 8 years to like really, really like, like you'll be like, this was a really good idea. You'll start to think like I'm a genius. Like, no, you're not a fucking genius. You just bought Bitcoin and you held it. But you'll start to think that like I made a really good financial decision. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that. I still think there's a tremendous amount of upside. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity. Like I laid out the numbers. If it reaches the gold market cap, that's 500,000 per Bitcoin. That's that's fucking insane. That's a 20, 30, 40, whatever X. And then if it becomes global reserve currency, and that takes, I think it's going to be a lot faster than people anticipate. And that takes 10, 15 years. 400X in 10, 15 years is fucking insane. But like you got to stay humble. You got to stack sats.
Stay solvent.
Stay away from the allure of shitcoins, because that's what a lot of people do, is that they kind of see these crazy multiples happening very, very quickly. And then they get kind of, attracted to that. Stay away from leverage, I would say. And like Odell says it best, stay humble, stack sats. And then Vikingo added the cherry on top, which I think the complete line is what makes sense. Stay solvent, stay humble, stack sats. Like you got to say the entire thing. If you do those things and you're patient and you just work on fiat mining, like literally like work on growing your income so that you can stack more sats, I think over time you'll be very, very happy that you did. But it takes time, man. Look, I've met 2013ers that it's like those first couple of years, man, they're just like, holy shit, this isn't going to work. Like they went through the same thing. Like Opti and I were class of, we're like roughly fine. 26, it doesn't matter. We're class of 2017. We're like at that epoch, right? And then the next class is the class of 2020, right? The class of the 2021 class, right? So like, yeah, you got to pay your dues, man. This is like literally, there's no way around it. That's my take on that. It's my 2 sides.
Wait, Nico, I know
I rambled on that. No, it's cool.
Hey,
it's cool.
Dude, he's been off the show, guys, so he needs to ramble a little bit. I like this comment by Elaine for the audio listeners. As the world wakes up, number will go up. I completely agree with this.
It's going up forever, Laura.
And the world's waking up, in my opinion. But Nico, it's hard not to stay bullish, even though we're being kind of bearish right now.
Yeah, man. I mean,
let's get into the memes, Nico. Let's get into the memes. We're running late.
Let's hit the memes. All right, let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboomracks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboomracks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboomracks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboomracks.
Kaboomracks. Go get some miners over at Kaboomracks. Anyways, this is a meme review where we review your memes and you drop your meme review score in the chat. Tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery. We are in an information war, as you can tell. Sometimes it's about combating the BS from the corporate press, and sometimes it's shooting some memes and incepting people's minds so that they understand why they should be stacking Bitcoin. Anyways, this first one, shouts out to Spectre and Cyrax, our DGen interns that are doing some some graphic designs for us. And it goes, fiat is slavery one, #Bitcoin. And you can see Lady Liberty here with the fiat dollars, and everyone is a slave trying to get the money. Great picture right here, because it really do feel like that right now. You know, you are subject to the powers that be to just try to gain a buck and live a good life. You don't have to take that abuse anymore. You can hodl and hold and save in Bitcoin. Anyways, this next one is by Kim Gage, and he goes, BlackRock, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, it's mostly ugly. Let's not kid ourselves, people. That's why we Bitcoin. And we got a picture here of Dr. Evil and his kill. His ink over here, and it goes, plebs, BlackRock won't rehypothecate Bitcoin, and BlackRock is Dr. Evil and them laughing because they're probably going to rehypothecate Bitcoin. But hey, silver lining is maybe Bitcoin will bring down BlackRock. We can only hope. And again, on this theme, shouts out the Bitcoin therapist, and he goes, hodl your Bitcoin. And we got this giant warrior guy here, and he is BlackRock with his huge sword. I don't know where this comes from. And then we got the little itsy bitsy Bitcoiner down here with his sword of truth, with his Bitcoin and his laser eyes. And yes, we are battling the great Leviathan, but we have opted out. We have the best money in the world, and the incentives are aligned where they will have to bow down and bend the knee to Bitcoin. Okay, this next one is by Copernicus. Copernicus' son on Twitter. And he goes, gents, be gentle with your womans when you tell them why you're so poor all the time. And we got a girl here dying. She's getting her vitamins and her IVs in the hospital. It goes, woman almost dies after learning her husband is a Sats millionaire. Yes, all you undercover poors out there that are Bitcoiners, that are wearing the same clothing and eating just the same food every single day, you're going to surprise your friends and family when they realize that you are a Sats millionaire. Anyways, on the same theme, because I know you guys have no girlfriends, and we're doubling down and hopefully allowing you guys to create more Bitcoiners. We have Maxi's Club here, and it goes 503 best plan, and it goes nobody but Bitcoiners. And it's a male and female Bitcoiner. Goes, you and me making Bitcoin DCA strategy together. We can only hope that you have such a loving relationship with your spouse that you stack together. Anyways, drop your meme review score over there in the chat, the other side of Nico, and we will cover it live. My meme review score for today, you guys have been seeing it all day. I'm going to give it this Buc-ee's hat that I got on my way back from Austin. For the culture, I had to get a Buc-ee's cap. Someone said they're wearing their Buc-ee's shirt today. If you know, you know. Actually, no. I'm giving, for my score today, I don't have them. I'm giving a Buc-ee's caramelized pecans. If you've never had them, they are by far the best things I've ever had in my life. When you are near a Buc-ee's, get yourself some caramelized pecans. They're so delicious. I'm craving.
Okay, caramelized pecans, bro. All right, I see you. I'm going to give it the 6.15 meme.
Hey, is that PG friendly, Nico?
No, it's not. Here,
wow.
There we go.
Copernicus in disbelief in the chat.
6.15. No, Copernicus took it a step.
I know. He just keeps tagging me.
He took it a step.
Yeah,
above.
you DGen, you don't do that again. This is why we can't have nice things. All right, we got some already in the chat.
Anyways, yeah, but before we get that, guys.
Oh yeah.
We dropped the Simply Bitcoin merch. You guys asked for it. It's live now. Get yourself. It's great quality. It's from our friends over at Represent. They make it. It's attention to details as Bitcoiner slavery in the stitching. It's awesome. It's up on the site right
That
now.
hoodie's so bright and orange. It's beautiful.
It's awesome. We're gonna be teaming up with. Should we say it already? We'll say
drop it. Drop it.
We're gonna be teaming up with Bitcoin artists too to make some Simply Bitcoin merch in the future as well. So this is just the beginning of it. Helps support our channel, helps us keep on the air and represent Bitcoin also, you know.
And also, we will probably do some OPSEC friendly versions as well for those that don't want to be a walking billboard. We got you guys. Also, we did have some issues when we soft launched it the end of the week. We got it worked out, guys. So thank you guys. Appreciate your patience. And we are going to continue to give you guys some fly ass merch from Simply Bitcoin. Best merch in the game, confirmed.
100%, bro. 100%. You guys don't want to miss it. Anyways, let's get to some of the scores. Sail Dog 18. I give the memes 5 brisket tacos from Bucky.
If you know, you know.
All right, Rave Elevator. I score the memes some pumpy and then some dumpy.
Great TA, bro.
Very, very nice. Next one by Elaine. The battle is just a skirmish and Bitcoin crushes evil worldwide.
Oof. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, this could kind of work.
Opti's O-face. That O-face she makes when she sees the size of your stack. Oh, okay. All right. That was Copernicus, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Keefy boy. Bro, come on, dude.
That was kind of PG. It was kind of PG. Hey, you're the one that put the 6.15 sticker on. So
oh man, no,
it is your fault.
He's just being unleashed. Copernicus, you're on timeout on Telegram. We'll untime out you, but
once
come on,
you act
dude.
better.
Come on, bro. Keefy boy, I give the memes a nice I give the memes a nice long silent pause, just like my boy Mitch does.
Yikes.
Savage, bro. Nico's fortune ball. Dude, I didn't know what it's called. Fortune. What's it called? A fortune wheel. What is it? Opti?
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. There we go.
Hashtag simply Bitcoin can't speak.
UTXO. I give the memes my wife's weekly DCA, which I went through a few minutes ago. Okay. Very good. I love that. Global nonsensical 21 mel. I give them yellow arc meme. Very nice.
Okay,
Very nice.
Yellow. Send me the meme in the DMs. I guess I didn't catch it. Like, hold on. Opti is video meme hater. No, it's just hard because of you guys' audio.
We
sometimes.
can't. Yellow. We used to do, bro. Remember back in the day, we used to do video memes exclusively, but then the copyright shit went crazy, so we transferred to pictures. Unfortunately, it sucks, dude. Don't blame us. It's the copyright stuff.
Literally. Okay, if you look, I'll tell you the sauce. If you want to get the video memes on here, you gotta minimize the music behind them. But I know that doesn't make the memes as powerful.
It's copyright free music or just
and even video,
no audio.
Even the video, bro. Like if you use video, YouTube algos will wreck us. So.
Yeah. So
whatever. Opti's a hater on video memes. Whatever.
We're not picking on you, Yellow. We're not picking on you.
Yeah, I am. Yellow. No more yellow memes if you keep trolling me.
Anyways, guys, I'm glad to be back. Shout out to my brother and co-host Opti for holding it down. Absolutely crushed it this week. Really appreciate it. And I just gotta say, enjoy your loved ones while they're around, man. That's what I gotta say. Enjoy your loved ones while they're around. I think a lot of people take it for granted. You know, your parents, your grandparents. They're mortal. They're not gonna live forever, right? So enjoy them while they last. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see all you guys in the chat. We really, really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do is share this content and share all Bitcoin content. Don't be exclusive, be inclusive. I'm your host, Nico. That was my co-host, Opti. If you want to join the after party, we are holding it down with our friends over at Swan Bitcoin, best place to build your Bitcoin stack. You can join their Twitter spaces or our Twitter spaces and their co-hosting, which we'll be hosting until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to the best producer in the game, producer Jacob. But until then, guys, I'll see you back tomorrow for the Friday special of Simply Bitcoin Live. Appreciate you all. Peace out, everyone.
Okay. You already know the deal. This is the Bitcoin space by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Yellow's still mad at me in the YouTube chat, but it's okay. We'll bring him up and he can yell at me maybe on the spaces. But actually, Vikingo, are you in the building? Is Vikingo? No, he's not in the building yet. He left. I wanted to get a Vikingo tea leaf reading. But anyways, you already know the deal. Come up here.